You're watching Pulse and this is episode 91. It's time for a bit of StarCraft news. This week there was a ridiculous amount of Heart of the Swarm news, as you all probably expected, a few GSL and MLG updates, a ton of community news pieces, and much more. Let's get started. Before jumping into the real StarCraft news, well, not that this isn't real news, but hey, it's so small that a lot of you probably missed it. StarCraft II patch 1.3.4 is now live. This patch only had one change that apparently couldn't be hotfixed, a bug that would cause some leagues and ladder pages not to show correctly, and that has indeed been corrected. Yes, that's it. You can read more about it below. Now for the news you've all no doubt been waiting for. Either that, or you've had more than enough of it already. On Tarsonis, Sarah Kerrigan was betrayed by her allies and left to die by the people she trusted most. But she survived, twisted by the terrifying Zerg overmind. As the Queen of Blades, she controlled the vicarious Zerg swarm in a campaign of vengeance and retribution, with the death toll numbering in the billions. Now, her powers stripped and her mind finally free of the Zerg influence, how much is really left of the woman who was once Sarah Kerrigan? Can her human side be redeemed, or does Kerrigan's fate forever lie within the heart of the swarm? Yes indeed, Sarah Kerrigan returns with a vengeance in StarCraft II Heart of the Swarm, embarking on a quest to regain her powers and make the galaxy fear the Zerg once again. Blizzard remind us that you can now get an official early glimpse at the first StarCraft II expansion on their new Heart of the Swarm preview page. Learn more about the key gameplay concepts, discover the game's story and major characters, and check out a fistful of brand new media, including screenshots, trailers, and more. The setting outside of the missions in Heart of the Swarm, as the Hyperion was for most of Wings of Liberty, is the Leviathan, a huge Zerg creature that is able to fly through space. In Heart of the Swarm, we may well have access to fewer rooms and sets than we did in Wings of Liberty, but those rooms and sets will be changing dynamically a lot more as we visit various planets and progress through the story. We've also been introduced to the first two, I guess you could call them crew members of the Leviathan. Kerrigan's advisor, the Zerg version of the adjutant, Isha, along with Abathur, a creation of the Zerg Overmind, and a pretty peculiar beast, who is apparently the only one of his kind. The playable Heart of the Swarm preview included two missions, one set on Char, and the other on the frozen moon of Kaldor. Kerrigan returns to Char, determined to reunite the swarm under her control. Before her defeat, the Queen of Blades hid caches of eggs on the planet. Gathering these eggs and returning them to the spawning pools to hatch will allow Kerrigan to quickly grow her numbers. There is, of course, a catch. One of the rogue queens, Zagara, is collecting Kerrigan's unhatched eggs as well and spawning them as her own. The only way to ensure Kerrigan's victory is to hatch as many eggs as possible and use the superior numbers to subdue the rogue queen. On Kaldor, things are different. Kerrigan's objective is twofold: learn to adapt to the withering cold, and discover what happened to the lost brood. Before long, we discover the brood's fate, and when we do, the cold of Kaldor will be the least of our worries. Yes, the Protoss are here too, and they want blood. The guys at Blizzard have let us know that we will have access to around 20 new missions in Heart of the Swarm. Heart of the Swarm is set to play a little bit differently from Wings of Liberty, at least in the single player. Kerrigan will be a playable unit in most of the missions in this expansion. When the former Queen of Blades takes the field, she has multiple roles to choose from. Each role is called a battle focus and comes with a unique set of abilities. As the campaign progresses, new roles will unlock and Kerrigan will acquire new abilities for existing roles. The battle focus you choose for Kerrigan in any given mission and the way you use her powers will have a major impact on how each mission plays out. These RPG-ish elements mixed into the StarCraft II gameplay we already know and love do make for a very different and interesting experience. Definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to most. We were even told that Kerrigan will get so strong that she may even be able to level entire armies by herself. Now that does sound good, doesn't it? Harder, better, faster, stronger. The Zerg never stops evolving, and in Heart of the Swarm, we decide how the Zerg develop. Between missions, we'll be able to mutate our different Zerg species. If we unlock enough mutation for a species, we can evolve that species into one of two different strains. For example, one Zergling strain might evolve the ability to hatch more Zerglings from the same egg, while the other could produce Zerglings that can make short leaps forward to close into melee distance more quickly. These are the Swarmlings and the Raptorlings respectively. For Banelings, we get to choose between the Splitterlings and Gorgelings. Splitterlings are larger, more bulbous versions of the Banelings that split into smaller Banelings multiple times upon death. And Gorgelings are purple-colored Baneling hybrids that will reduce killed structures and units into collectible resources. The last of the unit previews we were exposed to were the Roach mutations, the Leech and the Prowler. These are slightly less interesting, with the Leech just having a lifesteal attack and the Prowler being able to move while burrowed. Still though, makes you wonder what else Blizzard has planned for the rest of the Zerg swarm. As for units in multiplayer, Blizzard just let us know that we will in fact be seeing a multiplayer beta that will last for around 3 to 5 months, and they are thinking of adding and removing some units from the current race lineups. The Overseer was one unit that was targeted as being under inspection. That is actually only the tip of the Heart of the Swarm iceberg. Yes, there was a lot more information revealed, and you'll have to do a bit of exploring and, dare I say it, reading to see the rest. There are a couple of great trailers to be seen, and even an amazing gameplay video featuring those 2 playable missions. There's some cool artwork to be seen too, and there is an official Blizzard Insider interview with Dustin Browder on the StarCraft II community site. A Q&A of what we can expect from Heart of the Swarm, also official, and we've been told that Blizzard Dota is probably going to be launching with Heart of the Swarm, as it has undergone some major overhauls. Then many fan pages and community sites also have previews up of their own of Heart of the Swarm and of their time at the Blizzard headquarters. As I said, my full and official preview will be in the PC format magazine that will be released here in South Africa. I will be giving a few of those away when it does launch though, and you can check the video out linked on your screens right now for more on that. Lastly, a few more extras. You can read or see a few other interesting Heart of the Swarm related pieces below, including an hour-long panel-style interview or discussion with the Blizzard guys that was done by many of the community members, and there are some really good questions in there, well worth checking out. You can see what Blizzard think about the chances of Artosis ever making Grand Masters. You can read why Heart of the Swarm is shorter than originally intended. You can check out a few photo galleries of various people's trips to the Blizzard HQ. TeamLiquid has a post up that covers the smaller details of what to expect from Heart of the Swarm, including stats and much more. You can see many other solo interviews with the various StarCraft II devs, and lastly you can read about the few Battle.net and multiplayer changes that were mentioned. Phew, there really is way too much Heart of the Swarm news going around right now. Too much to cover in just one episode, but hey, I tried. If you have any questions about Heart of the Swarm and the preview we were given, don't hesitate to ask them below. Jumping straight into the tournament and event news, we have the GSL updates. While the next season has not yet started, there is still quite a bit going on in Camp GOM TV. The biggest news is probably that the GSL Super Tournament has started and already progressed into its round of 32, completing the first 2 play days. The first 2 round of 32 playdays were definitely good days for Team Slayers, with Slayers Gunzi taking down IM MVP, Slayers MMA beating OGS Supernova, Slayers Ryung taking down MVP Violet, and Nesty being awarded a win over ST Bomber. The second playday saw MVP Keen lose to OGS Juktu, TSL Trickster lose to the Best For You, Slayers Min take down MVP Genius, and TSL Revival beat Hongang Prime Wii. Pretty exciting stuff. The round of 32 is set to start again this coming Monday, so be sure to tune in and check back here soon for more results. In some GSL extras, you can read how FXO is set to join the next GSTL. You can read about the new GSL Code A caster, Wolf, who has apparently already made a pretty good impression doing some solo casting for the GSL Super Tournament. Then you can read a pretty interesting article from the Korean GSL caster titled The Growth of Esports. And you can see a video of the GSL Observer playing a 1v1. He's pretty good. Lastly, you can see what the guys at GOM TV had to say about the lack of foreign players in the GSL Super Tournament. A lot of great extras and all well worth having a look at. In our next big set of tournament news, we have MLG Columbus. Yes, this huge event is already underway, so be sure to check back here next week for the full results and recap of it. The players have already arrived at the event and the internet is lighting up with all sorts of information and shenanigans streaming in from Columbus, Ohio. So, as I said, I will cover this next week, but if you want your MLG fix right now, be sure to check the live stream out for some amazing casting from the regulars, plus Tasteless and Artosis. Yes, the casting Archon are taking a little MLG casting holiday in the USA. You can check out a full MLG Columbus preview courtesy of TeamLiquid and various live blogs and other to-the-minute coverage pieces out below, along with a full playlist of the event. It seems like both MC and July will in fact be attending, and sadly, Bomber seems to have missed his flight and won't make it to the event. Then you can read about some changes that were made to the soundproofing at MLG and the streams set to be used. Lastly, you can also see this pretty weird video of the pro gamers and organizers alike having a relay race at MLG. Yeah, not much more that I can say about that. All that and more can be found below. Check it out. In some smaller tournament and event news, before the smalls, the casters have already been announced for the next DreamHack event. It seems like we will be blessed with the wisdom and grace of the Day9 and Apollo duo once more. Great stuff. Then Nvidia, Day9 and Husky have announced the GeForce StarCraft II Pro-Am tournament. Yes, tournaments for pro gamers and amateurs alike, always welcome. Registration for the event has already opened and it is set to close on June the 16th. Play begins on June the 23rd, 2011 and will follow the schedule that you can find linked below. With casting by Day9, Husky and other guest casters and registrations open to absolutely everyone, this is definitely set to be one for the books. Oh, and did I mention there'll be over $20,000 worth of prizes too? Yes, pretty amazing stuff. Read more below and keep checking back here closer to the time for more information. The much anticipated Stars War 6 Killer tournament will be kicking off on June the 11th. To start this event off, the organizers have invited Jaeho Moon Jang and Xiaofeng Sky Lee to play each other in a 2-game series, one in StarCraft II and one in Warcraft 3. Two legends duking it out new and old school style, set to be epic. The IPL has started its 4th Season 2 qualifier and the NASL is already heading into its 8th week of play with far too many results to cover. And as another NASL extra, over at NASL.tv, the upcoming NASL 16-man finals have been detailed too, so be sure to check that out. Then, Total Biscuit has announced his ShoutCraft 1-day 8-man invitational with a whopping $1,500 in prize money. Quite cool, and apparently all the money was generated from him streaming StarCraft 2 on Justin TV. Pretty impressive and once again a great effort to help the community and or pro gamers out. In the last of our tournament news, we have Polarfluke Char Grilled. Yes, the next in this monthly South African tournament series is set to kick off this weekend, probably right after this video goes live at 3 PM GMT +2 on Saturday. If you're keen to play, you'd better be fast and register over at polarfluke.co.za. And if you just want to check the stream out, you can find that over at Polarfluke's site too. It's going to be exciting and I can't wait to get to cast in those games. I will put a link to the stream below. Be sure to check it out if you have time. I'll upload the VODs of the finals sometime after the tournament too, so stay tuned for those. But with that done, let's head on over to the tournament and event smalls. Over at Meteor Makers, you can check out some StarCraft II Clan League updates. You can read about the EPS finals between Sok and Hasuops over at SK Gaming. Then over at Gosu Gamers, read about the Razer Gosu Cup. Strelok has won the HD World Tournament and Dimaga has won at the Aces Spring Cup. The next Home Story Cup is set to be starting soon, this one titled The Return of the Pros. And also at TeamLiquid, you can get some updates about the EG Masters Cup Series Season 5. Then you can read about the EB Games Expo in Australia, where their World Cyber Games Finals are set to happen. Then lastly, you can read about the ESL All-Female Iron Lady Opening Cup. I thought I would start the community news this week with the artsy, imagey or video-y updates this time around. There aren't that many StarCraft related songs going around recently, but I did manage to find one, and it's a keeper. Underline Entertainment is back with a new parody song to follow up their hit Fly Like Ire, this time from the Terran point of view. On Yo Creep is a parody of Lonely Island's On a Boat featuring T-Pain. This song is, as their previous one was, amazingly well done. Production value like this is not seen often in StarCraft music. Check the song out right here on YouTube. Just a warning though, the original uncensored version is quite adult and does contain a lot of swearing. So if you want one for all that hardcore spitting, there is a tame censored version too. Enjoy. In our image and art updates, first up we have this Zergling made of beads. Quite creative. Then we have this deviant art piece of a Reaper, which is also incredibly well done, and I hope the creator G1414 does indeed do more. Check that out in full size below. Next up we have a funny comic about someone being interrupted while being six-pulled. Then Toastasis, the sandwich Archon? Yes indeed. And then a great piece of fan art of TLO as a Terran Marine by the DeviantArt user MonsterMo44. Lastly, in these image and art updates, we have a really, and I do mean really, funny thread over at TeamLiquid titled the StarCraft II Assistant Application Thread. This is exactly what it seems to be. Ever wondered how StarCraft II would be if good old Clippy was helping you out? What if a Terran Marine was your assistant? And then, how about Tasteless and Artosis? Or even a Zerg Overlord? Yes, I don't think they'd be of much help at all. Check that thread out for even more funny and creative StarCraft II assistants. Great fun. Next up in the community news, we have the launch of a new website, SC2earnings.com, a very interesting site that allows you to see how much money StarCraft II professional players earn from major tournament winnings, and to compare and contrast which race and region produce the highest numbers. It's all pretty fascinating and a great idea indeed. Who's at the top right now? Well, MC of course. Him and Nesty have a pretty solid lead over the rest of the field, but don't let me spoil it for you. Check the site out in the links below. It's well made, beautifully set up, and pretty damn interesting. Many of the StarCraft II players out there didn't come from a Warcraft 3 background or follow esports before it was released. Many of them didn't know about one of the most amazing RTS players in the history of forever. So a dedicated fan named Neverplay on TeamLiquid decided to introduce us all to this one-of-a-kind person by collecting some interviews and videos of him, typing a quick biography up, and, well, doing a lot more fanboy-like stuff. Who's this amazing pro gamer that the fan dedicated so much time to? Well, it's Manuel Grubby Schenkhuizen, of course. All of this just to showcase some of the awesomeness he has done in Warcraft 3, and, well, what can I say? It really is awesome. The guy's a legend, and there's a ton of great content to check out about him in this thread. If you were wondering, Grubby did in fact switch to StarCraft 2 full-time early in 2011, so look out for him this year. He will no doubt soon start striking fear into the hearts of his opponents once more. The thread is titled From Orc to Protoss and can be found, as I mentioned, on the TeamLiquid forums. Sadly, I had to keep the community news slightly shorter this week just because of the huge amount of Heart of the Swarm news. It really did take up a lot of the episode, and because of the fact that there's just a ginormous amount of smalls to get through as well. So be sure to check those out below if they look interesting to you, and without further ado, let's get to them. First up in the community smalls, we have AchieveCraft number 6. This is titled Hardcore. Then a poll, a smaller type of Zerg. Then the StarCraft Volume 1 paperback comic book is now on sale. You can check out an Artosis interview over at SK Gaming, and over at Gosu Gamers, their latest stream spotting post is also featuring Artosis. There are 2 grubby interviews to check out, one from Fnatic and Steel Series, that's a video interview, and another text one from the guys over at Polarfluke. Then a few more interviews. We have Day9, Cruncher, the female pro gamer Cheeky Duck, a Zyot interview, and the next message from Korea post, this one about OGS the STC. Greetup has left Fnatic, Razer has sponsored FXO, Team Rage has picked up Desro and Cupcake. You can check out the next TL Attack episode, this one featuring FXO Sheth. Xsplit is about to cost money, and that's making a lot of people rage. There's an interesting post up called How to Draw Zero, that's the pro gamer Zero, on TeamLiquid. Rivalries in the StarCraft II pro scene. Is StarCraft too much of a science? Then a pretty honest and heartfelt post from DJ Wheat titled Life as a Caster. Then over at Kickstarter you can check out Star Nation, a look at the players behind StarCraft II. You can also read about a StarCraft documentary that's coming soon, My Life for Ire. And it seems like TLO and all of us managed to raise $2,487 for Doctors Without Borders. Jinro has his profile up on Razor Zone. You can check out a few tweets between Huck and Idra. The new streaming website Warp Prism has been updated quite majorly. There's a lot of drama going around with Destiny, as there always seems to be. You can check out a bunch of Korean Pro House walkthroughs, and you can check out another StarCraft II news show called the StarCraft II Report, right here on YouTube. You can see a pretty interesting vlog series about Sen and his friend going to the US to test Heart of the Swarm's single-player campaign. TLO has done some commentary on Mondragon replays, and you can find that over at the Polygon Review channel. Diggity has announced that his Reddit moderator days are over. In Control has left State of the Game. You can check 2 nice Sela videos, singing G and Britney Spears. A new series has been started up by the guys over at Well Played. This one features Total Biscuit commentating, and it's called Well Played Weekly. You better check out Unidin the Movie, featuring Day9 and Unidin, or Unidin, I suppose. And lastly in the smalls, over at Total Biscuit's channel you can check out 2 amazing speed paintings, one of an Ultralisk and one of a Zergling. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the StarCraft news, but I do feel it is over enough to keep you busy for at least a little bit. Thanks once again to everyone watching and everyone that managed to watch all the way to the end. I know this one was a little longer than usual. Remember, like the video, favorite it, share it and subscribe. Most importantly though, happy StarCrafting.